Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Commodity TV in the new edition of our online interview series. We want to get an insight and update of Tudor Gold, ladies and gentlemen, and want to talk through that with Ken Konkin, the President and CEO. Good morning to Canada, wherever you are, but hope you are fine. And how are you, Ken?
Oh, excellent. Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure to see you, my friend.
Yeah, thank you very much. Pleasure seeing you. And I hope we see us the next week already at PDAC, which is also starting then. That is great. But you had a lot of news already this year. This year is only like 7 weeks old. So a lot is going on. And I'm a shareholder in the company. I want to disclose that also upfront. And so what I saw 20th February, that was yesterday, you reported almost 28 million ounces now gold equivalent resource. That is fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah, that was a phenomenal job by our technical team. It really was to target all the basically the inferred that was left behind on the last update from Q1 2023. So we launched this entire drill platform based on one hole. It was GS21 113W2. And we basically brought that entire block into the indicated, and beyond that, we stretched. We even pushed the inferred even further. So we still have not only 27.87 million ounces of gold equivalent, it's up there at a higher grade. So as promised, we delivered. We said we would push the resource out, but not at the cost of grade. So that's exactly what's happened.
Fantastic. And as we are talking about gold equivalent, of course, gold is, let's say, the master part or the majority part of the resource, but you have also copper and silver. And how do you see here in the future the relevance or the importance of the copper and silver part? And do you think this part could increase also? Because my feeling is copper is, I would say, in the forefront of a major run over the next 10 years.
Yeah, precisely. That was a pivotal point in the company when we actually turned towards the CS600. And if you look at the sections that we got out there, basically the block model as you see it, you'll notice one stark example of how the CS600 looks like it's much larger, and it is. It holds over half of the resource of the entire Goldstorm deposits, nearing 16 million ounces gold equivalent, but it has a good 0.3% copper component to it. It's one metallurgically that is a simple gravity with a flotation system that produces a saleable con. I think that's really important to look at that. And why the shape of that is simply because we have not chased down the other domains like we've aggressively chased CS600. So yes, not only copper as basically a critical metal, but as a strategic metal, silver. The silver is creeping up as well. It's the one that lags behind, say, the gold and copper in the spotlight, but it's now approaching what is it, 128 million? What are we at? Something like 128 million ounces of silver at 5.5 grams. So it's not thinking like you got 1-2 grams silver, you've got something tangible you can extract. If you just look at the copper, you just produce that's your capex, right? So if you look at money for that, then you've got gold and silver for basically operating. So it is a real great trifecta to have all three of the best metals going forward in this deposit.
Would that mean that let's face it, the royalty companies, the streamers they are also desperately searching for business, and I could imagine that this is something which is the match winner point for you, right? Copper and silver stream, or a combination offtake, whatever.
Yeah, that's a great point, because we've been approached by many silver stream companies. We've spoken to some of the bigger royalty companies that we could sell to, but we've just gone through painstaking effort to buy back our NSR. So we're not in a hurry to go sell them. So we know we've got that as our part of our economic arsenal when it comes time to do it. But the key now is to watch the tank. Do not dilute anything unnecessarily. Get to where we're going to be given credit in the form of a PEA. So if it makes sense, we need it for a PEA, we do it. If we don't, we don't.
Okay, super. You had also a news on 1st February that you identified a high-grade gold breccia system at the Goldstorm deposit, and I found that really interesting because you named it Supercell 1. So is that something where which would help you if you go in production, let's say, to pay back faster if you need to take that on, or let's say to reduce the risk while starting the production? Because I mean, we talk about like 8 grams gold equivalent per ton. That's a, I would say, slightly significant difference to the 1.19 grams
Yeah.
gold equivalent per
Yeah,
ton in the
you're a little
resource.
like bingo on that. It's absolutely the absolute one of the biggest surprises of the system. I always expected that to be at the other end towards perfect storm because of the, and it may be there too because that's where we see a lot more higher grades and visible native gold on surface. So as we work our way to the northern and eastern element, we're getting closer to a large fault. So these things play critical pathways to things like higher grade systems. So yes, Supercell was born in the name of the Goldstorm theme. So it's just to try to, kind of give the investor an idea of how these things occur. These are very highly charged, anomalous, rich pulses of gold that come up, basically structures or tectonic fabrics. And when you say 8 grams, it's actually a bit light because some of that is 4.5 meters at 21 grams. So this is the target. 3 holes pierce the plane, lines up beautifully. Or the 3-point problem. We knew that we had high grades, but we didn't really go after it because we stayed on course to basically expose what Goldstorm is. And that is something that is still basically the Goldstorm universe is expanding within it, high grade cells. And I call this one a supercell 1, i.e. there's probably more than one. There may be a 2, maybe a 3, because getting to name these things gets to be daunting. So when you go back to look at Route 66, that first one we hit in 2021. 2020 we hit it, we identified it in 2021, confirmed it. It's an apophysis off of basically between the 300 horizon and CS600 and DS5. It doesn't fit any one of those 3 domains. Yet my feeling is this is yet another supercell, and that's much higher in grade. It is alone, and also, and I have to thank Natalie Sanger. She's our VP of basically resource development. And she's done a great job of pulling out a new domain that we call 300N. So 300 North is actually a very tightly constrained body that's in the 2, 3 gram, 4 gram, over 70, 80 meter range. So that one is actually developing out to be yet another, in my opinion, supercell. So you have more than just one supercell within the Goldstorm system. So just think if you're looking at a thundercloud and seeing lightning go through it, think of it as shots of lightning that go through that really have this energy in this depositional form along tectonic fabrics, in this case, of breccia. And if we actually go back and drilling it, we'll allude to the precursor, give you some foreshadowing. That may be part of the system, but you're correct. That target to me represents anywhere between 2.5 to 3 million ounces gold. There's very little copper with it. When you're talking about 20 gram, 18 gram, 16 gram, it is more of a gold dominant system. But you're right. If you look at a 3 million ounce target that you can take over 4.5 to 5, 6 meter width, and as you're going down developing your ramp, why not clip that and take it out? Because none of this is included in the resource because we cap everything at 8 grams. So anything from say waist up doesn't show up. You're just taking 8 grams only and down into the resource. So this never counted. So if you were to actually go through, and this is all within CS600 and very accessible. So if we were to go and actually take it out, start a 500 ton a day pilot mill, yeah, you could be running a nice operation, producing a couple 100,000 ounces a year easily as you start up while you're doing a strip, pre-strip, you're starting to develop your pit. This is all part of the economic arsenal of the picture. This is where the miners look at it. This is where the senior mining companies start looking and salivating because they see what they can do to this thing. And it can be what it can be is what I'm trying to get to. But yeah, there's more than one supercell, I believe. We'll find more.
Fantastic. So that means while ramping up, making money with waste.
Yes. Money, baby. Shake and bake. Let's go. This is it.
Like it. Super. Okay, that raises, of course, the question then, because now you have approximately 28 million ounces, yeah, gold equivalent.
Yeah.
So where do you want to go? You want to go to 40, 50 million ounces, or what are the next steps, meaning towards production? Because you have so much
Okay.
fantastic material there. Everything is there. So what are the steps, let's say, that you come closer to a production, not decision yet, but I think a movement towards production? Because to me, you have all the ingredients for it.
Yeah, clearly, people who think that and see that aren't listening to the rocks. And if you did listen to the rocks would tell you back in the original resource that came out at 0.74 on the inferred, on the drill indicated, it had an inferred of 0.79. So what did it tell you? There's still better grades out there. We're starting in this very southwestern portion of the system. And people said, oh, come on, you got 19 million ounces. Put the test to it. Wrong. Wouldn't have made it. Too low grade. 0.74, not going to make it. Next one, we came out with a resource. What did it tell you? You had 1.13, but you had this nebulous at 1 gram cutoff, but up to almost 1.48. Well, that was out there, but we still had a 0.98 in the inferred at 7.35 million ounces of inferred. So this is what we attacked, and we had a segment that did not make indicated. And that was that hole I alluded to at the beginning of this presentation of the interview, the 113W2 that had 732 meters of 1.6 did not make that number. So what we did not come in and indicated, we planned off that. So what happened? Well, now our inferred is sitting still at 6 million ounces. It's still out there. But what did the grade do? Went from 0.98 to 1.25. Read the rocks. What are the rocks telling you? We haven't come through the center of the system yet. The grades are getting stronger. If you look at the math to go from 1.13 to 1.19 in grade on overall, and we only added 90 million tons, that's all. So it disproportionately, the tons didn't go up that much, but the grade went way up. It did significantly. Why? Because that sweetener is hot and heavy. It's loaded. So now we're going to finish it off. And more importantly, Natalie's done a really remarkable job with basically Spencer and Kevin and the guys, the captains steering the ship in the site, of making sure that holes hit the right spots where we need to define the mining shapes. So in the geological model, tightly constrained, we need to know the last front, which is the eastern and northern fronts. Why? That's exactly where you're bringing all your infrastructure through. You start pulling your infrastructure through and you slice through accidentally, longitudinally down another supercell, that will stay sterilized in the back until the end of the mine. So you don't want to do that. You want to plan ahead. So in part of the planning this year will be to respect those supercells, to see where we could define areas that we would plan for ramps, because this type of language is going towards a PEA, mining shapes, strip ratios, things like that. Things that don't allow, for example, who cares about the glacier? Why? Because the glacier is now moot, because we're looking at a block cave on the whole thing. Better not even touch the ice and just work a small, tiny pit on the side that's well exposed. That's it. So all the naysayers say, oh, yeah, but you got the ice. What about it? Enjoy the ice in your drink, because that's the only ice we'll be talking about. So, going forward, we try and de-risk this thing as we go. And the ironic part, Garth Kirkham as well, the consultant we're using, he's a brilliant a resource estimator, and he even looked at the economics. He said you can work this either way, super pit or underground. It's got phenomenal numbers on it. So we chose the path of least, the footprint of a small, tight pit. And now we've reduced the strip ratio greatly. Can't tell you what that is. It comes out in the PEA. But for all the haters out there that say this can't be, you're running out of things to talk about, honestly. Metallurgically, we've proven that we've got a big 16 million ounces of that thing is going to go through as a saleable con. We're working on the end members right now. We've got SGS, Fine Ore Division in South Africa, working on looking at BioLeach with BioOx and versus Albion versus the basic epox to see what the most cost-effective way is to get the highest recoveries in the 90s. So we're on our way. We are on our way here.
Okay, super. So that means, again, a busy 2024, I would say.
Absolutely. But here's the thing is we look at it, what markets will bear, and we look at going out there, and we've taken steps to protect ourselves against downturn markets. So we've done that. We've gone out and had very important meetings with various financial institutions. We've talked to a lot of people, which way to go. We've examined things of temporary ways of having to reduce the exposure to markets that we see a hold come off in 4 months, and they have to sell because they're still affected by these interest rates. You can see the rows and rows of pickup trucks are not being purchased in the workforce. So we're not through the economic harshness yet. So we're preparing to go forward with $9 million, and we'll add a little bit more to that. We'll top it up a bit, but we can start a drill program easily without that, without any assistance from any other raises. So we're strong. We're very strong on 2 solid feet. First time I felt that. And a lot of that was hard dollars. So it's the first time we've seen it. Thanks to European investors and yourselves that come in with that capacity, because it gives us a lot more strength and resilience to go forward in really horrible markets.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. No, today, especially such a day, it looks like the blood is running down the street again. And yeah, with that $20 million at the market program,
right,
looks like that this is the right thing to do now, right?
Well,
saves
absolutely.
a lot of money also.
I mean, not only that, I mean, we look at a 2.5% commission. We count nickels and dimes. If you don't, you're going to be blowing dollars. So we are still a small company. We're a 200 million market cap. So what we need to do is really keep your eye on the dial and make sure we don't push that envelope. Only do things that are required to get us to a PEA. So the idea of the ATM, that we actually create an ability for us to pull, say, $20 million if we needed to, we could do it. We control that. We control when we actually produce it. If we see a run in the markets where we can actually look at taking $1 million or $2 million, we take that. We don't have to make a production of an announcement of going through and take a big beat down before, because people will be shorting us to get the price as low as possible. And this is the systemic nightmare of any downturn market. It's a spiral decline to hell financially. So this is what all the junior markets are facing, dilution. And that is one thing I resist at full strength. So this ATM was a blessing in my mind. It's one of the best ways to go. And you save yourself 4% off the top on commissions. So
yeah, super, perfect. No, I see it the same way. I'm with you. And last but not least, I also read that you have a memorandum of understanding with the TSXV KM Lux Ha Nation. I hope that I said it just a little bit. Okay, just a little bit correct. And I found it really interesting because we witnessed in the last, I would say last year, a lot of, sometimes problems with, let's say, communities, First Nations, local governments. So what is your standing in your territory or with the locals, with the First Nations? Is all in good shape?
Yeah, well, first of all, we have to the north of us Tahltan, to the south of us is Nisga'a, and in the middle somewheres is basically the Deputy Minister of Northern Affairs has recognized the archaeological evidence presented by Skiqamlaqa. And it's a small group. You're talking about 80 people, notwithstanding, but they are an Indigenous First Nations group, and we must respect that. So how they fit in and how they work that in is amongst themselves. They've got to work out some working way, whether it's I don't know how they do it pro rata, or if they do it in any other territorial way, because they're on-lapping claims. There's one claim that says it comes this far, another claim that says that far. We recognize that. But more importantly, we think it's a win for everybody. We invite everybody to work on our project. It's kind of like the safe house on the block. So everybody comes to our project, and hence the name treaty. That's what the treaty was made. And historically, there's some differing versions of it, because it was all by written, not by written, documented historical accounts. Is more of stories handed down. So we respect all First Nations. They're people in the northern communities. They're great workers. We do our ongoing geotechnical programs in their communities. We're going to be doing a job fair or industrial fair to listen to all the Tahltan affiliates come in at Smithers. We'll be giving the courses in Hazelton for Skiqamlaqa and also Nisga'a. We've reached out to Iyanch and New Iyanch to see where they like that facility. So we have a cruise ready to go to help educate people to get year-round employment, not just seasonal, because that's the key to make these communities strong. It's one thing to go out to work for 4 months of the year, then you're sitting around doing nothing for basically eight months. So we'd rather have them ramped up with a geotechnical background, so they can go off and drill in the center of the shield and they'll be highly prized because there's just not enough of the First Nations people to go around, or people who are in the communities. They don't necessarily employ people who have to be full card carrying Teltan. They'll hire whoever's in their community, and that's the secret here. It's something, a win for everybody. So the government has put them on the list of consultation, but we've always been savvy of it because we do use the First Nations, so they come in, and then when there's not enough of them to go around, we go to the other outlier communities and we try and draw from them. But we've had a long-standing relationship with Skikam Lakai. They've only just been now recognized, is officially recognized by the government.
Super. So everything is in good shape, good standing. You have the money to work. You can let the drill run again, I would say, and that is a great thing. So let's meet us next week then at PDSA. Look forward to it. And Ken, safe travels. Thank you very much for the time and great update.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that was Ken Konkin, the president and CEO of Tudor Gold. And honestly, I must say, this is fantastic. A new resource estimate with almost 28 million ounces gold equivalent. And this exists out of 21.6 million ounces gold, 2.87 billion pounds of copper and 128.7 million ounces of silver. And you hear it already with the copper and the silver. This project can be paid. This is amazing. And they are in beautiful Canada. All is in good standing, and I think with Ken and the team, they did a fabulous job. This is really amazing, and this will be, hopefully by the end of this decade, one of the real large precious metal production and of course copper production or producing mines. And that looks all good. The company is still way too cheap for my understanding, but what is it today? The markets are the markets. We cannot help it, but the guys are doing a fantastic job. You really should have a look on Tudor Gold. Thanks for watching us, and bye-bye from Switzerland.